Hello and welcome to another JamAlong with YouTube. We had a request from a student to learn Going to California on the mandolin, and I've had a couple of other rock and roll songs like this where it's a little paradoxical, because in actuality what's going on is the musician is pretty much improvising in a key, and then they record it, and then legions of folks later try to learn exactly what they're doing. In this case, it's a lot of noodling around in the key of D, to be honest. But we're going to listen to the video and go through step by step and teach you how to play Going to California on the mandolin. Let's go to YouTube and get started. Guitar intro, drop D. Mandolin sneaks in here.
Spend my days with a woman unkind, smoke my stuff and drink all my wine.
Okay, that's the first chunk we want to learn. Let's pause the video and talk about it. So first of all, to make this song easy to learn, you want to make sure you're familiar with the D major scale, the open position D major scale, and that's going to sound like this. The D string, and then walking up like so. 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, over to the A string, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. So it's pretty simple. It's 0, 2, 4, 5 on both the D and the A strings, those inside strings. And of course sometimes he goes outside of that. Not much, but there is lower. And so of course in one of the links below this video there's a tablature for the scale. Be sure to study that before you go much further if you haven't learned that scale. So what's happening here is that first lick is what we call a pedal tone, where we're bouncing from the open A string to the D scale on the D string, which is basically from 4, 5, 4, 2, 0, while we go back and forth from those two strings. So your pick is doing this. And then we're moving that D string around. Happens for about a measure, and then we're just going to do a descending phrase from 5, 4, 2, 0, 5, 4, 2, 0, and then 4, and then sort of strum on those middle strings. The majority of this first part, you're strumming only on the two center strings, the A and D strings. Try not to bump the E and the G. So what's going to happen if you're just looking at the mandolin part is you start out with that little riff, and then when he sings you're going descending from 5, 4, 2, 0 like this with that inside strum. And then he likes to slide in from 2 to 4 on that D string and then hold it. That's pretty much that first part, that descending line. Slide, stay there. Sometimes a little noodle, then again. Back. And that's pretty much the first part of the song, okay? Now bear in mind, he's improvising a lot, so a lot of times when he slides back in from that 2 to 4, you'll hear him play little scraps of the D major scale, like this. So that's tabbed out in one of the links below. We tabbed it all out, but remember, what's more natural is to get the structure and then do a little improvising in between those spaces where he's not singing, because that's what's really happening on the mandolin. Let's go back to the YouTube video and look at the next part.
California with an aching in my heart.
Same stuff.
Someone told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes and flowers in her hair.
Part.
my chance.
So that's a brief interlude where they go to the minor, and he's basically playing a bit of a cheater minor chord. So I would say the best way to get that is 2nd fret on the big G string and 3rd fret on the D string, and strum for a brief, like half a measure. And then he does this really cool little riff, which is basically 3-2-0, 3-2-0 on the D string. And then slides in from a 5 to a 7 on the G string. So let's rewind a bit, and we're going to play that together now that we learned the notes. And remember, with this video, you have the luxury of pressing pause. It's a YouTube video, so you can slide it back as many times as you need. And also, in the little gear icon, there's even a slow down option if I'm going too fast for you. Lots of options here. So let's go play that new part again. Ready, it's coming up. There we go. Back to the first part.
Took my chances on a big jet plane. Never let them tell you that we're all the same. Oh, the sea was red and the sky was gray. Wondered how tomorrow could ever follow today. The mountains and the canyons started to tremble and shake. The children of the sun began to wake.
Part right here.
It seems that the wrath of the gods got
D
a
minor.
punch on the nose and it started to flow. I think I might be sinking.
A7. This would be considered the bridge. Here we go, D minor.
Throw me a line if I reach it in time. Meet you up there at the path runs straight.
A7. And then pause. And back to the first part. Let's go rewind and learn that brand new part.
It seems that the wrath of the gods
D minor.
got a punch on the nose and it started to flow. I think I
A7.
might be sinking.
Strumming just on the big strings. Back to D minor.
Throw me a line if I reach it in time. Meet you up there at the path runs straight.
A7. We're going to show you those chords, so pause the video. So on that spooky bridge, where it's D minor to A7, there's a really neat way to get that mandolin sound. That D minor, as we learned, is simply the pointer finger on the G string at the 2nd fret, and then the middle finger on the D string at the 3rd fret. Sort of an F/D minor. You're just strumming the 2 big strings when you do that. Now for the A7, he's doing a really neat substitute, which is the pointer finger on the D string at the 5th fret, and then reach out with the middle and hit the G string at the 6th fret. So it's like a reverse of the position you just came to, starting at the 5th fret. And that's an A7 chord. Really spooky and strident and dissonant, which is the sound they're looking for right there. So you're basically going to strum on the 2 big strings, that D minor. Here we go, up to our new A7. And that happens like 3 times, and then we're back to the first part, okay? So now, let's go listen to where the new first part goes.
Without a king, they say she plays guitar and cries and sings.
So familiar territory, we've been here before.
La la la. Ride a white man, the footsteps of doom.
Walking down.
Trying to find a woman who's never been born. Standing on the hill in the mountain of dreams, telling myself it's not as hard as it seems.
Same brief minor. That's where we do that walk. Open strings. Sort of a floaty place. Classic fade out. Awesome. So let's talk about what happened at that ending there. Basically, we just went and faded out over noodling in D. And once again, this is where, and especially if you look at the live versions of this song, he's really going off of those mandolin licks. So you want to make sure that at that ending, that is really your chance to play around in the key of D. And if you've learned that scale, after you come out of that open string riff, he starts going like this. Which is improv, and that's something you can't really teach. So as we said in the beginning of this lesson, a lot of this stuff, especially with rock and roll pieces, is a loose structure or chord progression, and then whenever there's a blank space without singing, the player is improvising, okay? So it's a good idea to go ahead and hook up a live lesson at JamAlong, and we'll go through all the steps of improvisation with you on your instrument, teach you all the tools. But the scales, arpeggios, all the tricks like slides, hammers, pull-offs, even bends. And those are all spices that you throw into your playing, okay? So rewind that as much as you need, learn all the licks in that video, and then be sure to go to the comments under this video to click to get the links for the tablature. And we hope to see you at JamAlong for a live lesson. Keep on strumming.
Standing on the hill in the mountain of dreams, telling myself it's not as hard